All right, so I was explaining that coming to the recorded classes and lectures, even I know everyone has responsibilities, and I want you to be here 5 times, mostly because of preserving the integrity of the course, that I can actually give somewhat face-to-face virtual tests, and that you can provide me with feedback also about your understanding, and you can get information from me that, gaps in your learning, what's missing. If you can't be in the lecture or our meetings, just send me a message about any topics you want me to review. If you didn't understand, if you have specific problems that you couldn't solve or you didn't understand the answer, I can cover it in our meetings. Okay, so make the most of your week and keep a record of any gaps that you might have, even after you've reviewed the materials. So I'm going to ask somebody to be my timestamp maker, if that's okay. Whoever wants to do that, you get 1 extra point in asistencia. I didn't record asistencia last week. I mean, I will put the grades in. Probably today I'll do that so you guys can get an idea of what I expect. So what I expect during the meetings is that you come prepared to participate. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be an expert in the material or by any means in the topic, but you need to be engaged, right? So I'm asking, if I ask questions, you guys can respond verbally or in the chat. And sorry. Okay. So yeah, if I ask questions, that you participate, that you respond in the chat, you respond to your classmates as well. You can respond in Spanish. I understand Spanish, and you can respond, obviously, yes, in English, and that's what I want to see. So if you have the camera on, you can get the full 5 points. If you take the responsibility of the timestamps, you can get an extra point. You can even get 6 points out of 5 because it will be scored out of 5 points. And I will score usually if you're participating. I see some engagement, or I remember your name. If I remember your name, you're going to get the 5 points if you also have the camera on. So I only expect that 5 times. I think most people can comply with that, or it's not too hard, and it is a benefit to you. All right. So to keep you, because the course is 12 weeks, it goes very quickly, and it will keep you consistent with the material. All right, so let's see. Now I want to ask you to tell me, how did the week go? Unfortunately, I'm going to ask people who already, what they reviewed and where the gaps are. If you didn't review, you're not going to really have gaps, but be attentive, and things that you don't understand, don't be shy to ask me to repeat them again. So yeah, I'm just going to ask, how far did you get with the material? Any issues? This is your moment to complain. Don't wait till the end to complain, because then the students wait for the student evaluations, and they put all their anger in the student evaluations, and it makes me look bad. But this is where you complain so I can fix it, right? Don't wait till the end. And then when the student evaluations come, you can easily check off the top scores for me so that I don't have to feel bad at the end. So yeah, let's try and correct any oversights, any errors in my part right now. So let me know how far you got with the material, any problems with the material. Don't be shy so I can fix it. How far
Did
did you
you
get?
post yet the Connect link for us to start doing our Connect homework? I didn't see it if you
No, no,
did.
I'm not putting, did you buy the book? Don't buy the book yet, because I have instructions for the book. Did you buy it already, Crystal? No, you're
No,
waiting.
I haven't.
Yeah, I'll post that. I want you to focus on what I gave you, because the textbook is just to get you points and to give you a reference manual. I want you to have this material because it's not really the same in the book, and you'll be distracted and confused, I think, with the short time you guys have to study. I actually expect you guys, if you've noticed, the videos seem long. I tried to give some guidance about what parts of the video to watch, or to focus on on the Moodle platform. Um, but they are long, and I do expect you guys to spend like 6 to 10 hours a week studying. Okay, there's a lot of material, but it's not hard. You just have to get through it, and it means you have to consume it. So I don't know that I put that in the syllabus. I used to put that in the syllabus. I have to verify, and I'll put it in to be transparent about what I expect from you. What is 10 hours a week? 10 hours a week can be one, Friday or one Sunday, or it could be 3 hours, like 3 days, something like that. It doesn't have to be however you work. Everybody has a different style. I aim to be flexible. You guys can give me feedback on what you need to help you. I'll do the most I can do in the guidance. So what I will do after this class is uh, whatever I cover in class, I can put points. Well, it'll be in the timestamps of the videos, so people can watch that, or you'll have that also as a record. And then when I will annotate on the videos for the next week, you know, what we didn't cover, so that you focus on what we didn't cover. So that'll make it easier for you. Okay, so comments on the chat. And if you want to send me a private message, you can send that to me personally in there too, or you can make a meeting with me after class. We can set up a meeting and talk. I'm available today after class. I'm available. Sorry, I'll be available most Saturdays after class. Okay, so yeah, we'll look at the Moodle page together. It's all for you to practice those exercises. Someone asked me if they had to upload the answers to that tarea. No, that's just all of it is practice. It's a lot, so students spread it out. The main thing to do, I think, is get through the material and try the quiz, and then go back and see for gaps what you're missing, and then you can get more into the tareas. Those take a little longer. Yeah, no, don't do the connect. Don't do the connect yet. I'm going to put the instructions for that next week. Like the connect, because I don't. So what's going to happen is if I put the connect, people will just do the connect and they think they did everything. No, you have to do you have to do. I want to set the priority for the Moodle material and the exercises.
I was gonna say that it was helpful for me to look at the notes first and then watch the videos because
Yes,
that way you're more like intentional in listening.
exactly. I did say that, right? I said
I
download.
think you said it in a video also.
Yeah.
But since I haven't studied in a while, getting getting into it, well, I think
Yeah,
that
yeah. Every time download the notes and just skim through them,
Mhm.
and then you say, "Oh, okay, what's this? I don't know this." And then yes, you're intentional. You're you're not passive in your learning. You're interactive.
I wanted to mention that I went through your conference, like the videos of the classes, and they were like really helpful because I was able to understand the material from your notes, and I felt more like secure today to, be engaged in the class. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so the video, you mean the video from last week or the video for the material, the
I saw
conferences?
I saw the module complete, like the module 2 complete, the 3 classes that were there in the web. I saw
Yeah,
them completely, and then I was able to, go through all your notes and
thank
practice
you.
some of
Betty.
your answers.
I'm glad it worked for you. So this is helpful too because um, you guys are learning the material together, and it's good to hear from the students. Another student mentioned with the language, she she doesn't dominate English, but she still found it better to read the English notes with the videos because she can match what she was doing easier, and she didn't have to translate, and uh, and she did great in the course after, but it took a while to get oriented. Okay.
I have a quick question. So for today, what we were supposed to prepare with was just module 2, right? Not module 3?
If you had time, I guess I can't remember what I wrote in the email, but if you have time to skim, at least download the notes, do a first pass of module 3, just look what is there. It's going to have a different feeling because there's lots of calculations. We're going to be doing calculations now. There were a little bit of calculations, a little arithmetic in module 2, but module 3 is more statistics, computations, descriptive statistics, summary statistics, and things. So
Okay.
that's right. So, you're okay if you did all of 2 and you're good at 2. That's great.
Okay, and I just wanted to say that another thing that helped was that in the notes you had like some exercise to practice there too. So it was like kind of discussing a theme or a subject, and then you had the practice below that. So that helped. So
Okay,
I
good.
like
Yes, yes. It creates, intentional learning there too, experiential learning because you get to apply it. And some of the problems in the notes will be tricky, but don't get discouraged. They're probably the most tricky you're going to get. Let me tell you about the degree of difficulty. So when you exercise, right, physically to improve your general strength, you always go beyond what you can do, right? You got to sweat. You got to sweat. You got to get your heart rate up, right? So with these exercises, it's the same. They're going to stretch your muscle. It's gonna feel painful. You're gonna sweat maybe, and you're gonna feel uncomfortable, right? But it'll help you with the future problems. On the tests might feel you might feel a little uneasy with the tests because they're going to be a little bit different than what I give you, but hopefully with the quizzes, I think the quizzes I give you are a little more challenging than the other exercises. So there's gradients of difficulty. The tareas are more longer and deep, but they're not hard. The homework are pretty basic. The quizzes are a little more challenging, okay? And then the ones I give you in the class, you're going to see they're really going to upset you because the problem is that since AI, I have to make a little more challenging problems, all right? That's why I don't want you to feel discouraged by that. That's why I'm going to give you the connect exercises as well, because those are going to be easy. It's going to be like, and you're not even going to have to use AI because you're going to know the answer by then. But I'm trying to delay the connect so that you have some knowledge, and then when you answer the connect problems, it's pretty straightforward. It's more instinctual. So you guys can again give me feedback about that. If you're behind, if you haven't done all of the module, it's okay. Okay, you're gonna have to make a schedule and catch up because 10 hours from one week, and if you leave that, then the next week you have to do 20 hours because you have to catch up. So you want to avoid that as much as possible. All right, so very good. So what I want to do right now, there's going to be some people that studied everything, and there's some people probably didn't do anything. Some people maybe didn't do a thing. But if we can go through the notes together, did everybody watch the video? Did anybody not watch the 4 videos? That was the most important, so we can actually have a conversation that you saw the 4 15-minute videos. If there's anyone that didn't watch them, that's where you need to start because they set the tone and provide the content for the notes and for the questions that I ask. Okay, and I think my conferences fill some of those gaps as well. Yeah, let me know if you didn't watch so I can know. I'm gonna just point, let me just look at module 3 before I go back. I just want to review what it's going to look a little bit different as I mentioned last class, but maybe you forgot. So when I'm talking about videos, I'm talking for module 2, I'm talking about the decisions through data series, not my videos. I'm talking about the 15-minute series, 15-minute video series of 4. Yeah. Okay, let me share. All right, so this is what I'm talking about in module 2. And I gave some instructions where to start because it would have been repetitive otherwise. Oh, and then there's some extra material here. They were mostly videos. I thought something to think about. I'm not going to test you on this. This is just more current events and topics. Very important, the issue of evidence. What is evidence? I can talk about that a little bit because I don't think I did talk about that. This is like extra. This is just extra stuff. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. So these are the tareas. And yeah, someone mentioned that it said 20 points. Yeah, Alejandra. Yeah, but it's just to give you an idea of what I would have expected. So in previous iterations of the course, I actually had students hand in assignments, but it's not as meaningful now because of AI. You can just generate the answers. So I got to do things differently. So, but I wanted to use the resource for you to practice. These are like the multiple choice are quite easy. And so these might be a little more challenging. Maybe not in this module, but in the future modules. You can ask me any of them. You guys can keep a record of where you had trouble. If you're really stuck and you want to know how to do it, you can contact me and we can meet virtual. Or just send it to me and say, Professor, can you review this next week? And then you can watch it in the video. Oh, I forgot to confirm who's going to be my time stamper. So all you have to do is record the time where I say things. So now it's 9:20. We're going to start the class, really, because that was just a discussion. You guys can put it in the chat if you want to be the time stamper. I can also do it. Okay, Natalia, you got it. You can do it. That's great. All right, so just make a note. 9:20. We're starting to talk about module 2 questions and problems. Anyway, I'll just make a note and I'll fix it so that it has a. You don't have to put too much because I know what I did in the class, but it's just to keep the timestamps mostly and a heading of some sort. Okay, so I wanted to say about unit 3, module 3. So it's for next week. You basically have a week because if we're going to stick with the calendar, I want this done by next Saturday. So the notes are here. There's 2 documents. One is the notes, and the other one is a series of 4 problems where I solve them systematically. So you have an example of data that was collected and how you would report the findings of the data. Like how do we get data? What do we say about it? So I show you a systematic approach to doing that, and I give you 4 data sets to do it. There are 4 hours, 5 hours. Well, we'll see. We'll see how far we get that I can note. You don't have to see the whole thing. And then here, so let's be clear. So these are the notes. These are the class videos from previous classes. And then here are the page by page by page edited, pre-edited videos for you to go through. Wherever you feel there's gaps from the conferences or that you didn't understand what I was saying, that's when you watch these. So these are, you can watch them all in sequence, but you could also just see the ones that you really need. I created a playlist so you could just watch them in sequence from the beginning, from video 1 till the end, video 71, I think, 72. So there's a lot. They're not, they're short, but they are the course. They are the course notes page by page. Some pages are missing, and that's what we'll discuss in class as well. And then you have the similar tareas here. You have the tareas. I put 2. You have some homework, and then I plopped in the homework solutions just so it's easier to see these are in the homework, remember, if you didn't know, there's multiple choice questions. These were the original test questions from years ago. And then at the end are the answers to the multiple choice questions. And these are relatively I mean, they're good. They're good. They're not hard. They're not super hard, but they'll teach you. They're good. They're not meant to be difficult. They're meant to review the material. And then this one gives you the written solution, how you solve. And then you have your quizzes again. Okay, so that's the main thing I wanted to show you is now you have this page by page listing of videos. And that's the addition. And that's how the rest of the modules will look as well. Okay, so let's go to Unit 2 or Module 2. Got to keep the language. And in Module 2, I want to hear from you. I'm going to open actually, I'm going to open it on my iPad. And let's see, hopefully I don't have shoes. And I'm going to ask you, I'll make a record of what I need to review, and then we'll review it together. Any other comments? Let me know. So Natalia, just put the timestamps on a document and then just cut and paste them in an email to me and send them to me after the class.
Yeah, I was doing an Excel table so that the next person that does it can have like the format for the
Okay,
next
thank you.
easier.
Oh, you guys are great. Oh, I've got the best helpers. All right, so let me see. I was gonna do. Okay, good. Very good. Okay, so we left off talking here. And there was an exercise. So were there any questions about this exercise? How many of you were tricked? I mean, I don't mean to trick you, but I mean to highlight, the takeaways, the important point to take away from this quiz. How many of you did not do it? Because maybe we can just do it as well. So most of you did it.
So I did do it. I just want to mention that in a couple of times you had to like see the options below, because if you just read like the upper sentence, you could get confused. Like
Yeah.
the bullet points behind each sentence help to determine which.
Yeah, it's not the
kind of-
questions, it's the values, right? So it's not the
Exactly.
variable, it's the values it can take. Very good point. So that's really important. It's not about the variable, it's about the values of the variable that are being collected, and then how you can analyze those results. And it leaves you just with categorical data, so you can only report like bar graphs, or what do they call it? Now they call it candlestick graphs. They change the vocabulary. But just bar charts for this, and then this one. And the overarching point being that the kind of variable that you collect will determine the kind of statistics you can compute. Okay, so
I'm sorry. I think something that was really helpful that you explained was on the questions 4 and 5, that it is actually, when it is a range, it will be categorical, because sometimes you'll see a number and you'll think, oh, that's quantitative. But I think that explanation helped.
yeah, this one, like everyone get stuck here, and it's okay, good. So yeah, when you see that the bullet points you were saying, yeah, and the fact that there's not just one number that fits in this range, there's so many, so that tells you for sure it's a category. Yeah, when there's two or more options for the category. All right, good. All right, and then here I just mentioned a different kind of topology, or I guess listing way to recognize data, and also those interval and ratio data. Nominal being the least information. Ordinal provides more information, so the statistics can be more meaningful and better estimates of what to expect. And then interval data, different from ratio data. not going to really, just it was just an example, just show that there's different, even more specifically, different types of data. Okay, so then I went through the videos and have some explanations here. Any questions about any of this? Because again, I don't want to be too repetitive. I don't mind repeating, but it just will make more videos for people to watch, and they'll feel like they're just repeating and not necessarily when time is tight. So anything here that you have questions about, you want me to review? There's gaps. I feel like these gaps, this discussion here is not in the decisions through data video, but I do spend some time in the lectures going and explaining the background to the physician's study. And the fact that they also tested a second factor, beta carotene, to see if it prevents cancer. Okay, so you guys are good. The randomization process. And then this one. Any questions? You guys can just tell me to stop and
A question for evaluation purposes.
Mhm.
Sometimes it depends on when you start the random digits. If you start with like 0 or 1 or 0 1 0 0. For example, like in a quiz, let's say, would you tell us in the instructions where to start, or would it be like more than one answer is correct?
Okay, so that's exactly, yeah, so that's exactly it. So if there are no instructions, then every answer, any start is correct. If there are instructions, you have to follow the instructions. So that's the best I can say.
Perfect.
And if there's if you want to contest my grade, or if it's a multiple choice and then you got it wrong because it wasn't clear, then you can just let me know. But usually follow the instructions. If there's no instructions, you start where you want. The one rule though is it's guided, the labeling size is guided by how many
Yeah, they have to have the same
labeled.
number.
Yeah, they have to have the same number of digits. Yeah, good. Any questions about what we're talking about? You guys can let me know. So that was yeah, so here I give instructions, attach numerical labels beginning with 1, and then you get a clear answer. But then I have another example where I don't say, and then there could be 3 possible answers. So that was tricky. I wouldn't really give that on a test. That was just for instructional purposes. Okay, and then here, and this discussion. So usually the students, this is when they start asking me questions. What is the difference between, uh-oh, are you there? I lost the signal for a second.
Yeah.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question. Can we go back to the exercise where you indicate to assign numbers to
Yes.
randomize it? Okay. So you say to start with 1. To start with 1 or with 0 1 to follow the order?
Okay, good question. Okay, so when I give you this one, I gave you clear instruction to start with the number 1. 1 second. My video is going on and off. Give me 1 second to look at this. Or maybe I can just ignore it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm just going to look. I might look at the side because I have my laptop feeding the monitor. Okay. All right. So it says 1. So use 1. And so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you put 0, 1, you're going to have a different result and get the wrong answer. But having said that, if I didn't specify, this would not be wrong either. That would also be okay. But because I was clear, 1, it has to be this way. The
So then
rule is the
how will we
size.
use the numbers below?
And then you take one at a time, which looks funny because all the videos always shows two, but it only used two because you had more than 8. That's why it had to use two. Because if we had 2 more people, if we had that would be 9, and Smith was 10, because the last one has 2 digits, they all have to have 2 digits. That's the issue. This is the anchor. This is what's gonna guide. This is what's gonna you go from here. This is what dictates. Okay, the last one.
Okay.
Okay, but this one, so for this problem, because I said 1, this one is correct and this one is wrong. But if I didn't say 1, both of them would be fine.
Okay, so the first patient will be Rodriguez.
And so the first one would be 05 Rodriguez, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
No, it's very important to clear that up. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so students start asking me questions around here. This is a reiteration of what I started saying regarding our goal, right? Our goal in statistics. Statistic is a number computed from a sample. That number is used to estimate a parameter. And these are examples of parameters that I would estimate with these statistics. And I introduce the symbols that are pretty universal. These symbols are, so statistics has, numbers are kind of universal. I guess that's how it operates in the scientific discipline. Whenever we use statistics in scientific reports, it's pretty universal from China to here. And from east to west, in other words, north to south. So these symbols are commonly used. So I introduced them right off initially. So these ones are all these are all statistics, the notation used for numbers computed from a sample. And also another one, the first one I mentioned to you is N. And they all estimate a parameter. I mean, N doesn't really estimate the large N, but population size, that's the symbol we use. Okay, just reiterating. And the Greek letters are reserved for the concept of parameters. No one ever told me when I was doing my first statistics degree, but I started to see that. They never said that explicitly, or maybe they did, but that's how, I think that's very important to realize. It's not like a haphazard, coincidence that they're all Greek. They're reserved for the purpose of parameters, identifying parameters or signifying parameters. So like population mean, like all the values, population standard deviation, etc. Okay, so over here, the difference between stratified and multi-stage. So I'm going to put it out there. That's usually where students get confused. I'm like, how did you guys do with understanding stratified and multi-stage? So the best way to find out is when I give you a quiz and you get the wrong answer, and that's when you start thinking, So there is a quiz at the end we can look at. Okay.
That one has the question about how they do the census for the US, where they go from like rural and then
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that video. And that's still, I mean, that's still the way they do things. So yeah, so the issue is first we have an issue, we have a problem that more people live in the city than they live in little towns and in little, municipalities or smaller rural areas. But we want to represent them. We want to get their opinion in a survey. in a sense, it's okay. We can go and count them all. But when we want to collect survey data and we can't interview everyone because we don't have unlimited funds, we have to just get a sample. But if we start labeling, putting everybody in the whole population with labels, and we randomly select, because there's so few people in the rural area, they're not going to be represented. We're not going to pick them because everyone will have a chance, equal chance of being selected, but only very few people live in the rural area, and it's a risk that they're not going to be chosen. So that's why we stratify. So to solve the problem of representation. Multi-stage solves a different problem. What is the problem that multi-stage solves? So if you don't get it, it's fine. Most people don't get this. Okay, so remember what I just said. If you remember what I just said, after you've labeled everybody, you're going to sample, right? So we're just going to split them up into urban, suburban, rural, and then label everybody and sample. The assumption in that whole story that I just told is that I can label everybody. The problem of identifying everybody and being able to label everybody is resolved with multi-stage. It solves the problem, the difficulty of finding everybody first and labeling everybody first. Okay, because it just takes a lot of money to go hunt everybody down. Even the census is done only every several years. It's not done every year. It's very expensive to find and track everyone. I mean, it's probably easier now with that all the data, big data collected to find people. But anyway, just saying the principle is to find everybody, the whole population, and label them. It's difficult if they don't have a utility bill, if they don't have an address, if we're not going to be able to find everybody if they're living with friends and they're not locatable. Used to be with phones with home phone registry, but people don't even have that anymore. Cell phone numbers are private numbers. I mean, you can buy it. I guess the government could buy all that data and really find us now, but just that's the principle. Is it's hard and it's costly to try and label everybody first. So the initial stage is to look at the initial step in survey or in designing a survey is to first say, okay, how am I going to find people to label? It's going to be too costly. We don't have the resources to find everybody and label them. So what we're going to do is begin with the whole population labeling something we can label that we already know, that everybody agrees are divisions of people. And so the larger stage is going to be the sample of regions. So let's say there's 30 identifiable regions in a country. And so we label them. That's what we can label. Maybe not people, but areas, regions. So, in Puerto Rico it would be north, east, south, west, 4 regions. And then we choose from there. Because it's 4, I probably wouldn't have to choose in Puerto Rico. You just do them all and then go down in the different stages. But here I would label 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and then all the way to 30. And so this is another assumption or another given. Okay, so the first thing is to tell you, in math, anything that deals with math and statistics, always know your assumptions. So someone gave us this number or givens. You're given this number. There's no rationale to just this one. There is a rationale, I'm saying, but on this page that I've, these instructions here, I didn't show how I got 1/3. It was given to me. So we're going to pick 1/3. It was determined by statisticians who were hired and as consultants, and they said 1/3 is sufficient for our purposes. So choose a sample size equal to 10, because that's 1/3. And so you go to random digits table and you take the first 10 and that's going to form your regions. Now that you have the regions, okay, Laura, 1 second. Good question. So once you have the regions, now within each region, find another thing that you can label, because still they're too big to find everybody efficiently and quickly, and we don't have the budget, and there's limitations, whatever the limitations are, money or time. Like, we don't have 10 years to just do this quick study about their opinions of the cell phone towers or something, so we we hire the statistician to figure out, what's going to be adequate. So he figures out there are 30 communities in each region. So out of the 30 in each region, and I just use this number to make it convenient, but I mean, they don't have to all be the same, but so that's why I said the 20%. So 20% of the communities in each region are going to be selected. So we're going to label those again. And 20% of 30 is 6. So you're going to label and then choose 6 with a random digits table, choose 6. So now we have, in each region, we have 6 communities. So we have 60 communities. Again, back to the communities, within each communities, what's going to be easy to label? Still, it's going to be expensive to label everybody. So we are going to identify instead blocks. So this is like street blocks of residences. And we'll say there's 200 in each community, so we're going to start labeling them. So they're going to look like 001, 002, all 200, and from there, we're going to pick, we're told that 2% is good. 2% of 200 is 4 from each. 2% of 200 is equal to 4 blocks in each community. So now 4 times 60 is 240 blocks. So those are, again, it's going to be more affordable to reach out. We have the personnel to go reach out to 240 blocks, but wait, we're going to go to the households. Let's get the addresses. So for the 240 blocks, we have staff that's going to identify all the residences of the homes in the 240 blocks. And from each block, there's 100 households. And we're going to sample 5%. So that's going to be 5 from each block for a total of 1,200 households. And so Laura asked me, is multi-stage always motivated to be done because of budget or other reasons? Yes, it's because of reasons of limitations. Either the lists don't exist, or they're changing constantly because people move a lot in that area, or certain areas, or so there's some sort of limitation or a combination of limitations. Transient people moving a lot, because you might get them on the list, but then they move and then you can't find them to give them the survey, right? And then budget concerns. Just the feasibility of it. When it's feasibility of labeling 18,000 households is daunting. It's not possible. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Then you go with the multi-stage. So you can put multi-stage with stratified as well. You can do a multi-stage within the strata. So you divide, it's easy to divide urban, suburban, rural, and then within that, do the multi-stage thing. Okay. So most people get the quiz question wrong over here because that doesn't make sense, or it doesn't register what's happening. So when you see proportional representation, that is dealt with stratified sampling. When you see issues about identifying respondents for labeling, or budget problems in outreach to possible respondents, that's a multi-stage problem. Respondents or target population. So you've probably answered surveys in the past and never had to think about too much of this. But a lot goes behind that. And I hope you enjoyed those videos. And you could continue to watch the other ones in the series, but I'm not going to require it by any means. It's just for you to enjoy, really. They're very well done. So how about, did everybody get to the quizzes? Everybody? You guys are great. What I can do is sometimes I project problems that I didn't give you, so you have the opportunity to see something else and try something fresh. And the video's here, and I guess I could put the pages online, but I hate adding more material because people feel overwhelmed. But I can just ask a few questions there to test your knowledge if you'd like to do that. You can let me know. Otherwise, there's this practice here. Any issues with that? Or are you able to get to it? Okay, I'm going to pause the video. Let's take a little break. I'm going to get some extra questions we can look at. I'll get like 4 or 5 you guys can try, and then we can discuss if you want to do the quiz. No, I'll have the quiz at the end of the class, I think. I'm going to get into, or maybe you guys can tell me if you want to do the quiz right away, and then I can do the test right away, and then I can start module 3 discussion, like an intro. So let's take 5-minute break, get some water, stretch your legs, and we'll be right back. I'm going to pause the video. Remind me to put it back on. Okay, we're back. Okay, so I'm going to do a few problems with you, and then we can discuss if you just want to take the quiz or you want to do it at the end. So I'm going to load some old exam questions. They're more like the homework type questions. They're similar but unique. To test your knowledge. All right, let's see. So I'll project for a few minutes. I'll pause the recording and then resume once you're ready. Okay, try this one.
You're on mute,
Muted.
Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. So I was saying, there's always some button that I miss. Okay, so I asked you guys to put it in the chat when you were ready, and it looks like there's a preference for A. Okay, tell me why you chose A.
I chose A because for looking at the difference between ordinal and nominal, for me, like ordinal, when I've been studying, I just remember ordinal is order, so rank. And so for the film ratings, it's you have to rank them, right? Because of the age and like who's allowed to see it. So I knew that one in my mind was ordinal, and then the same for the belt color, there's a rank again. And then when looking at the country code, like you have to identify like individually what the like each person's phone number is. So that's when I did nominal.
Okay, good, good. Thank you. That's great. Okay, so this was not so bad if you studied, right? And then some people pick C. So where did they go wrong? Okay, so the restriction, they didn't consider that as an ordinal variable. But the more restricted, the less restricted, now you're ranking again, right? So one is less, one is more, and there's a gradient. All right, so that was the only other answer. So that's pretty good. Okay, well, you guys want another one? Any particular topic? Or can I just pick? I say you pick. Let's see. Oh, you're going to hate me for this one. Ready? Okay, I'm going to pause the video again. Try that. All right, sorry, that one was the next module. This is the question you should answer. Okay, try these two. Right, so you guys can put your answers in the chat. Some of you already did. Good, you guys get it. A and D. Well, most of you. Some of you picked A and C. Number of bags. Okay, does anybody want to explain why it's D? So A was time and temperature were the factors. The other options were the levels of the factor or the treatments even. But this asks for
So
factors.
it's 3 bags of popcorn per combination of factor levels. So 6 combinations times 3 bags, that's 18.
There you go. Okay, so that's the formula for treatments. The different levels of the factor multiplied by each other gives you 18. So most of you got it. And those that didn't, I hope you get it now. Okay, good. Should I ask you another? You guys want to do the test now, or you want to do it at the end of the class? Put it in the chat. I'll give you a few more questions. Some people want to take it now because it's fresh. Some people want to wait because I'm not sure.
Do you have a question that shows like if you're choosing if it's stratified or not?
Okay, a question like that. Sure. Do you guys hear me better now? My computer didn't pick my microphone. My actual microphone. Okay, so a stratified question. Let's see. Oh, matched pairs type question. Okay. Okay, here. Okay, try these two, 29 and 30. Can you read them? I'm gonna pause. Okay, your answers for 29. All right, let's look at the responses. Okay, let's read it together. A department head would like to determine if students perform as well as in an online section of a course as they do in a regular in-class section. In an attempt to make a fair comparison, the department head suggests the same professor to teach both an online section of the course as well as a regular section of the same course in the same term. At the end of the term, the final exam grades of the students in the two sections will be compared. Neither the students nor the professor are made aware of the purpose of this study. So you guys picked mostly C, D, or E. Okay, so you thought it was an experiment. This is not an experiment. Why is it not an experiment? Why is the answer B and Malaysia got it right? This is not an experiment. How would I? So how are we dealing with experiments? Labeling, random selection, that's not even here. You guys assumed it was there, but it's not here. It was just the students were picking their own class and the professor is going to teach. Experiment requires control. We didn't control anything. We just let students pick where they want to go. And then what's going to happen is some students who like online classes and are good at online classes will choose the online class. That's a self-selection. And they're going to have a bias. So this is a tricky question. Most people get it wrong
It's
if I ever
because
put it on a test.
because everybody that didn't know that they were doing that.
Well, that's part of it. It was so the last line about this last line, it persuades you that, oh, it's like an experiment because it's double blind. The students don't know or the professor, but you didn't do the randomization. That's the problem. Remember the three, you have to have control, you have to have randomization and replication. Okay, you have kind of replication because you have many students and you have, you don't have randomization and you didn't control like who's in which section. They choose themselves. So you lost somebody put here the intervention. You didn't impose anything. You didn't control anything. So that's why it's not an experiment. So this is a good lesson. Be careful. So anything like this, when people want to study things, that's just an observational study. You're just going to observe the effects and then there's no perfect experiment, there's no perfect study, but this is pretty bad if you think this is an experiment. This is not an experiment, it's just observation. And you have to remember, you have to always have a limitation section in any report that you make to discuss where the possible bias is. In this case, students selecting themselves into the different courses, yes, okay, it's the same professor, but we didn't do a random assignment. So they might have chosen the one that was better for them, the one that they liked, the one they were going to put more effort into than if they were assigned to the professor and they had to, they weren't picked for a certain reason. You know, we want to eliminate bias and we just completely allowed it to control the selection or the assignment. could be that randomization, the fact that first half was in person, taught, and last online. So, okay, so there's at the end of the term, well, these are both at the same time. There's a regular section and an online section, and you want to test the difference in grades. And we're going to do problems like this by the end of the course. We're going to arrive at the conclusion, like, or at the concluding things, items or topics we're going to learn is to do tests like this to test the impact of intervention, the impact of an experiment. But here, this is not an experiment because we did not label the students and assign them to the class. There's no mention of that. The students, it just says they were just, the professor was assigned, not the students were assigned to the groups. Okay. So you're not testing your observations. Okay, so I said one more, right? One more? Oh no, we have 30 and then one more. Okay, so here we go. Let's go for 30. Tell me your answers. So I'm going to read through them and tell you why or why not. It is a match pairs. Okay. So just 1 second. Okay, so for this one, let's go one by one. The answer is actually, to make yourselves feel better, E. So half of you got E, so that's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so let's look for the keywords. Why is it E? Okay, so we have drugs A and B for lowering blood pressure. Suppose that you are going to use matched pairs and that you have 60 subjects available for the experiment. So the idea of matched pairs is you find the pairs. You have to identify the pairs, and pairs are sort of a natural phenomena. You got to find the ones that match. So some of the examples I used were plots of land that had exposure in an agricultural experiment to the same environment, water, air, soil, but were divided in such a way that the treatments, the differing treatments, were not confounded or they didn't mix. Like you're able to separate the plots. So in this case, you want to be able to match them so that they're as similar as possible to receive one receiving drug A and one receiving drug B. Now this says randomly divide the 60 subjects into two groups, A and that will receive B. So that is not matched pairs because the people in A are not in any way particularly identifiable or matched to people in B. Okay, so statement B, randomly divide the 60 subjects into 30 pairs randomly again. This is not to be random because they have to we have to match these pairs or the people in the pairs, and then flip a coin, decide the patient in each pair would receive A or B. So they do have the assignment being randomized. So there's the randomization, but I didn't say anything about matching. I didn't find two like people in terms of what we're trying to study. They have to be similar in all other ways to control, right? Controlling, randomizing, and replicating. That's what we need to achieve. Randomly divide 60 subjects, 30 pairs, and then randomly select 15 of the pairs. Okay, so 30 pairs, and then randomly select 15 of the pairs to get A and 15 of the pairs to get B. Still, it's still random. So the key word has to be subjective. You have to identify, you have to confirm that the pair, the people, the individuals are alike. So subjectively divide the 60 people into 2 groups according to their characteristics, and then randomly give A to half of subjects in each group and drug B to the other half. So that one looks like it's close to the answer. Let's read E and then confirm this is the best answer. Subjectively divide 60 subjects into 30 pairs according to their characteristics, such as, so these are relevant to the study you're conducting, right? Such as the degree of hypertension, making the subjects within a pair as similar as possible, and then flip a coin to decide which patient in each pair will receive drug A or B. So this is much more, this is the matched pair because I'm not leaving it to random chance that, this is not as exacting as this one. This is actually finding 2 people that are as close as possible in hypertension, the characteristics that influence hypertension, and then giving one A and the other one B, but randomly assigning it. So this is the best answer. So half of you guys got that. That's pretty good. Does anybody have questions about it being the right
So
answer?
just to confirm, so matched pairs is like a type of blood design because you're dividing them first based on like a similar characteristic,
Exactly.
and then you randomize the treatment groups.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the whole blocking concept is that it's a natural thing. Like subjective is like you're going to check and determine which one is the characteristic, but the characteristic is the characteristic. You don't assign the characteristic. You just identify the characteristic. And that's what's a natural phenomena. Yeah. So most of you half of you got it, so that's pretty good. Okay, so randomly in this case, in the match pairs, we want to randomize, but that's the kind of the trick. The randomization is in the assignment of the treatment, and it's between the 2 people in the pair. If you remember the Pepsi versus Coke kiosk examples that I gave, I should have given in the video. So is hypertension degree the blocking variable? No, the blocking, okay, so the block here, like the person themselves in the Pepsi and Coke was getting the treatment and they were their own block. Here, the block is getting people that are as similar as possible. So in the examples I gave for blocking, it was like put all the women together, that's a block, put all the men together, that's a block. And here we're putting people together that are similar on characteristic. So degree of hypertension, well, their characteristics. So their weight, their level of exercise, things that's going to affect their hypertension. Those kinds of characteristics would be how we match people. Why control group is not accounted for? The person, the control, okay, so there's no control group here, but we were controlling what we're doing by putting one treatment against the other. How am I explain this? I guess I never get into that. Usually we put a control group in there, but when you have 2 treatments, there should be probably a control group to try and control for just the effect factor of being in the experiment, like so just the change of behavior being in the experiment. But yeah, but it's okay. I think it's okay because without getting into too much detail, both of these are going to have some sort of So the control effect, so we want to control against the placebo effect, right? We want to control against people just being in the study, feeling better. And still, when we compare the outcomes of A and B, we have to see that one does significantly better than the other. So whatever happens in either groups, I don't know if I'm going to explain this well, but either of them, it's kind of like it already has the control in it, because you're going to have people in both groups having like a placebo effect, and you still have to. So there's an assumption here. There's sort of an implicit assumption that the placebo effect would be the same in A or B, and we're just going to look for difference between A and B. So yeah, probably a control group would be good, so we can see the placebo effect, but we're not going to get into it. It's a good question. Nobody's ever asked that question, but it's a good question. Why just A and B? Shouldn't there be a control? Yeah, probably there should, but for whatever reason, they didn't include one. But then they just have to see that one is better than the other and assume that the placebo effect was the same between both, so that all you're measuring is the difference between A and B. So there's an assumption here, without getting too complicated into it. Does that explain, Almeida? So there's an assumption that's not discussed here, but yeah, there should be a control group. I agree. So we can identify what is the placebo effect. Okay, one more. And then we take a break. Okay, thank you. All right, so. Okay, let me stop and get you your last one. Is this helping? So these are new. Everyone?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay. And the recording's there, so you can take a screenshot. I never mentioned it. You can take a screenshot of these. Oh, here you're gonna have fun now. Here you go. Okay, try that one. I'm gonna pause the recording. 21. Okay, put your answer in the chat. Okay, overwhelmingly A so far? Okay, so yes, it's A. Some people didn't get it. Let's look at the other alternatives. Let's look at the other alternatives. Okay, so grouping, okay, a stratified random sample is selected by grouping the subjects using some criteria, then randomly selecting subjects from each group to interview. So using simple random sample. Okay, so some people pick B. Let's see what's wrong with B and E. Randomly select subjects to interview, then grouping the subjects using some criteria. So no, because we have to label within the groups. So we get the groups, we separate them, and then we label, and that's where we sample. This is like you labeled everybody, selected, and then you grouped. That's not what we do. So that's not it. And the other one was E. Randomly grouping the subjects. Like this is just throwing words around, word salad. Okay, randomly grouping the subjects. So randomly grouping the subjects. I'm trying to think of what that. So randomly always to me is label and then select. That's random. So if label and select the subject. So this is just meaningless. Randomly grouping. Then randomly selecting subjects from each group to interview. So this is just confusing for people. And it could just be a language thing. So if there's ever just a language discrepancy, you just let me know. And but I'm gonna try and like I said, the test today will be in both languages, and the Spanish, if there's any confusion with the Spanish, we can talk about it too. And I always consider your interpretation. But here, randomly grouping means nothing. I think that's the best way to say it. Randomly grouping, because you have to label and then that's randomizing using a random selection tool. So That doesn't make sense. But it's tempting, I guess, because you're randomly grouping. Anyway, so does that help? So that was meant to confuse you. Does the census group first, then the selecting? So no, in a census, that's everybody. That's a different thing. There's no randoming. There's no randomization in the census. A census is actually getting everybody. It's a whole different thing. When you have to label and select, that's a sample. And that's where you randomize and select, where you select randomly. But a census is you go after everybody, so that's something else. Okay, that's population, gathering all the population and measuring the entire population of people in a census, or if you're doing inventory, you're going to identify everything you have in inventory. As an example. Okay, so that's it. That's what I got for you. I hope that helped. If you still have questions, put it in the chat or let me know. Let's take 5-minute break. You guys are going to take a break and think about if you want the quiz or the test now. Or if I'm going to go into module 2 for a bit and then we'll have the test at 11:20. There's not that much time. It's probably best to just do it now, and I can leave it open till 11:50. Okay, let's take a 5-minute, think about that. If you want more questions, we can just do more questions. Because maybe, I mean, I could talk about the new topic, the new module for 20 minutes. Because the quiz is set to start at, or the test is set to start at 11:20. Okay, let's take a pause. So yeah, put your decision in the chat of whether, or you can speak openly, if you want to have the test now or you want me to start module 3. I can put the test, I can leave it for 11:20 and you guys can just study. I can stay on here and answer questions if you guys want to do that, and then we'll go off and come back in for 11:20. Let me show you where the test is. You should be able to see it if you check the platform. This is our first test, so we also want to see how that works.
Professor, are you projecting your screen? Because I don't
I'm just
see
getting
it.
it ready. I'm just getting it
Okay.
ready here.
Okay.
I don't even see the test. It should be visible.
It's not on YouTube.
Yeah, I might have set it to be visible only but I'm going to open it so you can see it now. It should be right under the table búsquedo de contenido. It should be right under that. Let me fix it. Let me pause this recording again. Okay, so we agreed we're gonna sign off. That will then the recording will process and come back in. I'll be back in for the new recording for the video of the test. The video of the test will go nowhere. It's just mine, and then I delete it. I'll delete it after the course. It's just for me to have as a record, and it's not exactly Respondus browser, but I think it's better because that adds another level of technology that I cannot control at distance for you. So I'll be here to help you with any questions, confusion. You will answer the questions in the pantalla, but if you want to send any other handouts or written work, maybe I'll add a link in there if you want to send something else. I didn't put a link, but you can just type into the pantalla for this one. There's 3 problems. You cannot go back. So once you answer one, it's gone. If you enter to the next question, you can't go back. Then you can do the second and the third. I will grade and give you the grade for the two best. You have 3 to choose from, but you can't really choose because you can't see them all. So just try them all and gauge your time. If you need more time, you can also tell me and I can add more time. I know some people have to go, so we can see how it goes this time. I can open this test at 11:15, give you an extra 5 minutes too. We can do that. All right? So let's get out and come back in, and I'll say goodbye for now. And I have the recording here to post on Moodle for the people who weren't here. Okay, thank you for your participation, guys. All right, see you back here.